The rise of AI has been one of the most significant changes to affect the business world in the past few years. But many people still don't fully understand AI's role, how it operates, what its implications are. What is undeniable, it's here to stay.
If you're doing any diagnostics, that you have the access and the capability of 100 doctors together to give you that. So apply this to every sector. There's a lot of productivity gains that will come from it.
George Nazi is CEO of SCAI, the Saudi company for artificial intelligence. George, thank you very much for joining us. I think we're going to learn a lot because everybody knows AI now, as in they hear it all the time. Do they fully understand what it is, do you think? Can you expand on, actually, what is it?
I mean, first of all, AI has been around for a long time. Between the 50s to the 70s, that was the first boom of AI. But because, again, there was no computational power in order to sustain this. After this, we went through Winter One. And so Winter One was from the 70s to the 80s, where there was a lull. People were just doing research around what is AI, different types of AI. And then there was the second wave. This is actually when I studied AI. So now I'm showing my age. I specialized in artificial intelligence in the 80s. Specifically, there were things called expert systems, genetic algorithms, fuzzy logic, and something called neural networks. And this is where we specialize in how do we mimic how the brain thinks through linear math. Again, this is simple mathematics. This is not complex. But again, the computational power was not strong. It used to take me a week to train a neural net, and it was a simple 3-layered neural net, right? So it went through another lull. But companies kept researching and spending money on AI, not majorly, but they kept doing that research. Until we got now to year 2000 to 2017, when Google published the Transformer paper, because it revolutionized the way you do the multiplication or the way you do tokens, which is the input vectors, and how do you do the classification. And because of the compute power became so strong at that time, this is when there was an acceleration. Companies like Google, where I used to work, had been already using AI for a lot of things that they did internally and their capabilities. And this is when companies started spending billions. And 2020 is actually when you started hearing about hundreds of billions being spent on AI. All of this to say that it has been around for a long time, and yes, it will continue for the future.
So is it the speed of the computers which is why we're now suddenly talking about it, because it's so instantaneous? Is that what the change has been?
That was the change, and certain enhancements in the algorithms, like called the classifications, like how do you input, kind of how do you mimic the eye, and what would be the input information. That's what we call now tokenization, which is the input side. But the algorithms are roughly the same, except for the Transformer paper that made some adjustments.
So it's in every sector? And has it always been in every sector then? Is that what you're saying?
So it is in every sector now, because it's really about automating tasks. It's about decision making. It's about accuracy of the data. How do you drive and how do you derive it? Imagine that if anywhere you're kind of using a human without using the emotions, but you're using the human logic that you can drive the automation. We've done a lot of automation, process engineering, whatever. This is where AI could be applied. Now, in our case, let's say at SCAI, this is why we deliberately decided that we will focus on it sector by sector. So we started with healthcare, with certain products that we will take. And in the healthcare, you can go very deep. We'll come back to this. We also concentrated on the media, on the sports, financial services, and of course, our intention over the next decade to go across all of the sectors.
To what extent should we welcome this?
Absolutely welcome it, embrace it, absolutely. First of all, there's a lot of productivity that will come out from AI, a lot of accuracy of the data. Today, we also estimate, like imagine you're taking an expert that you trained, but now you're able to take not just that one expert, but one doctor, but almost 100 doctors combined together into one engine, so that if you're doing any diagnostics, that you have the access and that capability of 100 doctors together to give you that. So apply this to every sector. There's a lot of productivity gains that will come from it.
Okay, let's talk about, as you say, because you've admitted there might be a few downsides. Let's start with regulation. Is the regulatory process strong enough at the moment?
Regulation is a double-edged sword, okay? First of all, you need relaxed regulation so that you can enhance the technology, drive the innovation. Because if you put a lot of regulation right away, you will not be able to do some trial and error. But regulation is absolutely needed, at the local level and at the global level, and there's not enough global regulation in order to put the guardrails about what AI can do or cannot do. And this is where regulation can help. But when there's benign AI that's really driving productivity and you're driving the enhancement, that's, that actually you want that innovation to flourish.
So maybe those are the guardrails, because as we've seen with the internet, that is one of the downsides of the internet, isn't it? It's very easy, bang, mass misinformation.
Absolutely. Because of generative AI and the fact that now you can generate videos or mimic voices, or imagine now you generate all of this content that's actually not real. This is an equivalent crime, and it should be an equivalent crime, of fabricating fake money, right? So when you create fake money, the regulation is all over you because this is illegal. That's the kind of regulation we need around those kind of elements. At the same time, you do want to be able to maintain, to continue with the generative AI capability to allow the innovation. But for certain elements, you absolutely want to stamp that out.
What about employment? So long as people have been working, the Industrial Revolution, go back before then, people are worried. Machines are invented, I'm put out of work. How much of that is a genuine threat?
Again, and I'm glad you used the Industrial Revolution, because when refrigerators came, ice pickers they were displaced. They had to find another jobs. What did they do? They ended up going to factories. Similarly, in any technology transition, there will be displacement, but if we have the right reskilling and upskilling, and this is actually where we need to put an effort in every government, in every country, to help drive that reskilling and upskilling, it will actually generate more jobs. I'll just give one simple statistics that I read. In Europe, they are predicting that it will displace 57 million people by 2030. At the same time, automation and AI will generate 61 million people if you drive that reskilling. And so at the end of the day, I believe it's going to generate more jobs than less jobs.
Right, so there needs to be mass governmental recognition of that there has to be a huge reskilling program, if that's going to be the case.
Absolutely, and that not only that reskilling happens at the end for the displaced people, actually there needs to be an educational change as well, starting with students going through high school, college, in order to really embed, and strengthen the STEM programs, the science, technology, engineering, and math programs, to incorporate, like we now incorporate coding, we need to incorporate what artificial intelligence is and what it's capable.
Talk to us about sports, particularly here in Saudi Arabia, where we've seen, of course, in the last few years, a mass interest in staging international sport, in terms of boxing. Obviously, there's Live Golf, there's Saudi League, there's Cristiano Ronaldo. There may well be the Football World Cup in a decade's time. What role does it play in sport?
So in sports, and this is where actually SCAI now is really doubling down on. Imagine now that we can really analyze every move of the player real time as they're playing. Then this will not only enhance the fan engagement, because we're using that data and we can do it from a fan engagement perspective, but it will help the players, it will help the coaches, it will help the scouting, it will help later doing what if scenarios, what plays could we do. This applies, this is football. So imagine if you take the same concept and you're really taking a lot of this game into boxing, into golf. It will accelerate the coaching, the scouting, and for the players and the fans. So and this is why we're really doubling down on sports, and we're working with many clubs in order to enhance that experience.
George, just as we got our head around AI, along comes ASI. I mean, which is artificial superintelligence. When does AI become ASI? What's the level there when you go up a grade?
Nobody can predict when. There's a lot of debates among technologists. Is this in 10 years? Is it in 15? Some people are trying to predict it with accuracy at that 2032. I don't think it will be at my generation. But the point is, yes, we will get there. We will get there. It is a matter of time. I don't think anybody can predict when. It's not going to happen in the next 4 to 5 years. It's going to take much longer than that. But I think we will eventually get there.
My last question is this. There will always be a role, though, for the human, and I mean the human emotion. Nothing can emote like us. A machine cannot emote like us. And my question is, you need that balance, don't you, between the human emotion and the human instinct as much as all the information we're taking on?
Absolutely. And this is why, and I apologize, I was deliberate at the beginning of explaining the basics of neural networks and why it's linear math, it's about data, it's mathematics. When we can really transform emotions or emotional intelligence into math, then maybe there's a chance, but absolutely we always need that human interaction. You always need that EQ, that empathy, things that you really cannot quantify in algorithms.
George, really interesting. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.